This is Laura from Threads of Eden, and I'm here to talk to you about a book that I just read, To Die For by Alden Wicker, D-Y-E. So there's a lot that most people don't know about the fashion industry. I certainly didn't until recently. So there's a lot of chemicals that goes into our clothing, not just where it's being made, which there are some really horrific stories, but these chemicals, so many of them can come all the way to our doorstep and last through many washes. So you can get this book. I highly recommend it. And I just want to jump to, well, what can we do about it? You may be interested in a deep dive into what the chemicals are, where these show up, where it's still being done, and the long-term generational ramifications of that. But here are some quick things that you and I can do as we are deciding what clothes that we can invest in. So in chapter 10, she says what all of us can do for a cleaner closet and world. Number 1 is avoid cheap knockoffs, unknown brands, and ultra fast fashion brands. So, and I can attest to that, because one thing about the cheaper it is, the less testing we're going to do. I could personally do more testing for my clothing just to prove how clean I believe it is for your skin, but that's going to be way too expensive for me. I know that I use very low impact dyes, but I reached out to the company that does the testing, and I can't use their name legally because I am not willing to pay for the certification. Fast fashion brands will not do it. Only some very high-end companies will attach that certification and prove what testing has been done for them. The cheaper it is, the less testing, obviously, and of course the more chemicals, because we can cut so many corners when we do synthetic, right? But it's not good. Okay, so as far as what companies should we do, number 2, find companies you can trust. Okay, so I'm your girl next door, you can trust me. And then there's a few companies that just have a long-standing record of trying to do a better job. And this is changing all the time, but you know, companies like Levi, Patagonia, Eileen Fisher, these are a few that are doing a lot. Let's see, oh, she also says Nike, even H&M. So these are not perfect brands. These are just some brands that you might recognize that do better. And I'm not saying I recommend those, but as far as the chemical trail, it seems like they have a history of doing a better job. Look for third-party labels, Affirm Group, Blue Design, GOTS, Oikotex, CDHC. So those are a few of them. And again, not all companies are going to pay for the certification. My fabric went through certification, but I, as a brand, will not go through more, so I can't claim that. Okay. Go for natural materials whenever possible. So anything that is synthetic, like polyester, anything that starts out with poly anything is probably suspicious. I mean, it's thermoplastic to its core when you have and any of those synthetic fibers, and that is going to off gas into your skin, into the air, and of course, when we care about the people on the other side of the world, or sometimes in our own community, but usually somewhere else, that is polluting water systems. And I'm not gonna talk too much about the hazards that happen to the people who make our clothes. That's for a different discussion. Right now we're just talking about dyes. That's what she focuses on in this book. Another one that kind of goes along with natural is avoid performance materials. So anytime we try to get a microwave situation, now I don't mean like your kitchen gadget, but that's something that speeds the process up synthetically or just makes it easier. And maybe it's good for you or maybe it's not. So if you have something that is wrinkle resistant or stain repellent, or something that is not native to that fiber, like if you have If you have a linen, for example, that is wrinkle resistant, you're gonna have to ask yourself why. What did they put on it? Because linen wrinkles, and that's just a choice we make when we wear something like linen or hemp. Hemp does not wrinkle as much as linen, but you know, it's certainly more wrinkly than wool. Okay, so it's something that you bite off when you choose that fiber. If you want it to be natural, you're gonna have to take care of it. And if you don't have to take care of it, then there might be something wrong. Avoid super saturated, ultra bright, or neon colors. This is something that we're going to have to get used to and kind of reframe our thinking about. And I love bright colors. I think bright colors are beautiful, but as I'm learning more, I choose to surround myself with bright colors, like going out in nature. And when I see it visually, okay, I'm going off book. This is just me talking, sorry. Okay, when I'm out in nature, seeing the beautiful things that I want, it doesn't have to be on my body. I'm wearing black and I'm perfectly happy because I'm looking around. Or, you know, I might be wearing white or beige and I'm looking and I'm being in the moment instead of trying to chemically recreate the moment on my skin. And that's usually going to be toxic when we have a very bright color. Now, let me talk about these colors because you might be like, what are all those colors behind you? And I have more coming up in my upcoming style launch. I use low impact dyes. They are quite a bit more expensive, but I believe in them and I stand by them. Most dyes cannot tell that story. Let's go back to the book. Wash clothing with unscented laundry products before you wear it. Okay, so that makes sense. If you're not sure, you should just wash it a lot of times. And if it smells funny, then trust your nose. If it smells wrong, then something is wrong. God gave you your nose for a reason. Don't dry clean your clothing. Buy secondhand or swap clothing, but do be careful because people have been known to spray air fresheners in thrift stores, and you know that might not be good for you either. So chemicals, you have to choose what you're going to put on your skin. Trust your nose. Actually, that was point number 10. Trust your nose. Okay, so chemical testing is very expensive, and let's not take it for granted that the government or the powers that be are going to test everything for us. It's just not true. We need to do our own due diligence and say, what am I going to put on my body? We can make requests, we can make demands as consumers, but at the end of the day, you are responsible for keeping yourself healthy and trust your instinct. Go after greenwashers, that's another thing. Many companies will pretend to be green and they're not. And that's also a story for another conversation because it's a deep rabbit hole. When I have my label on my clothing, it'll say something like, it'll tell you care instructions. It'll tell you what kind of fibers are in this, which is mostly hemp, organic cotton, 3% spandex. It will not tell you what kind of chemicals were used to dye or in the finishing process or anything like that. So that is not required in the industry. So if you are having any sort of reactions that you can't identify, you don't know, why is my body feeling this way? Why have I been getting sick? Why do I just get this strange vibe when I put this certain garment on? You might want to read this book, and I'm also starting to follow Alden Wicker and find out what more she has to say. So thank you for listening, and do better for your body, do better for the earth, and be happy.